Today, we'll be taking a journey to process some of our deepest fears with the help of a special genre of still life paintings from the 17th century. And I think it'll make sense why rather quickly. Yeah, not your typical vase of roses with a bowl of fruit sort of still life. A forest floor still life, also called a Sottobosco, which is Italian for undergrowth. Not many artists dabbled in this beautifully ghastly sort of thing. The genre is said to be the invention of the Dutch painter Otto Marseus van Schrieck, who actually raised the reptiles and amphibians and insects you see menacing each other in vivariums. He was really into observing these types of creatures that many found repellent and replicating them with incredibly realistic detail in highly imaginative, mostly nocturnal scenes. If vipers striking at moths, lizards scuttling off into shadows, and snails trailing slime over moss and mushrooms makes you a bit uncomfortable, well, there's probably a good reason for that. These are just the sort of things that are rejected by duality as creepy, crawly, dangerous, disgusting, frightening. Things sequestered to the darker, more malignant areas of being and the shadow side of the human psyche. Just the sort of things we tend to not want to look at. Of course, they really are just what they are. Divine source taking a multiplicity of forms, interacting with one another, while really being all one. But a lot of normative conditioning would have a lot of us revile them. We humans tend to distrust what we don't really understand or fully see. We generally rely heavily on our sense of sight as a species. And unfortunately, for the reputation of nocturnal creatures like these, we humans have rather poor night vision and a fear of the night that's been inculcated into us over millennia. But fear gets taught or inherited, passed down through biological and cultural hardwiring, through lived and observed experience, and can be very much fueled by our beliefs. Fear is often considered to be a bad thing. It can keep us alive in some situations, but it's uncomfortable, and therefore usually something to be avoided as much as possible. Unless you're an adrenaline junkie, I guess. Fear is usually ego-based, tied up with concern for the physical being we identify as. But our souls are interested in learning through all kinds of experiences. Like snakes and spiders, fearful moments are just what they are. They don't have to be good or bad. But I do think it works to our benefit, as all of our experiences ultimately do, because I find fear is full of information. When we can recognize and accept that we're afraid, it can put just that much distance between ourselves and our fear. All we need is just that much space to realize that we are not our fear or any of our emotions. We are the consciousness behind them. That bit of detachment can help us ask questions in a calmer way. A good question to start with, and to keep asking until you feel you've gotten to the bottom of things, is, what's the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could happen? Our answers can tell us how we perceive the world around us, what we believe about it, how we think it operates, what disasters we expect it to deal out, and therefore, what kind of existence we can manifest within it. I've said it before and I will say it again, our beliefs are central to creating our experience of reality. The upshot is that once we become aware of our beliefs, we can decide if we want to keep them or not, if they're true for us or not. We can clear them, can literally uninstall them from our system, and dissolve our fears and anxieties out at their roots. And we can choose to adopt new beliefs. So I feel our fear can lead us right back to feeling empowered if we can let it inform us instead of just shunning it. And I'll stick a link to my belief clearing method video in the description of this video. But fear sure can stick with us throughout our lives, throughout many incarnations. Holding on to trauma and experiencing soul loss is one reason for that. Another is that fear is something we are literally plugged into. It also exists as an actual energetic grid, one that much of the human collective consciousness is attached to some degree. Probably all of us until we can learn to do something about it. I tend to see this grid as a sort of net encircling the globe. General matrix programming, ancestral patterning, entities we pick up, and again, our own fearful beliefs attach us to the fear grid. And so examination of our conditioning and beliefs is doubly beneficial. And so is good energetic hygiene. Because we can choose to detach from the fear grid once we have the consciousness to recognize that such constructs exist, and then proceed to identify and transform our vulnerabilities to it. We can choose to break and step away from the strands of the net that binds us, which makes for an excellent visualization to use. Because on this earth plane, where we have such contrasting experiences, there are energies that are sustained by lower vibrational frequencies. Energies that feed on fear. And again, I'm not saying fear and what thrives on it is bad. It's all source energy. It's non-dual, it just is. But it does not necessarily vibrate at the same rate as an emotion like joy. Hence that discomfort that comes with it. There are several charts and scales out there that aim to help us visualize the difference between different states of being. And I think my personal favorite is that of Dr. David R. Hawkins from his book Power versus Force. A University of Redlands page dedicated to another book he wrote to explain that book tells us that he used a unique muscle testing method to define a range of values, attitudes, and emotions that correspond to levels of consciousness. This range of values, placed along a logarithmic scale of 1 to 1,000, became what he called the map of consciousness, which laid out the entire spectrum of human consciousness. From shame, guilt, apathy, fear, anger, and pride, all the way up to love, ecstasy, peace, and enlightenment. And these higher states are a carrier of immense life energy. Funnily enough, you'll notice that it is the vibration of courage that marks the transition into higher states of being, the willingness to challenge fear. So, you can imagine the fear grid like this web or net of fear, made of and held together by all of humanity's unprocessed fears, wrapped around the planet, sustaining systems that rely on fear. But those systems need not scare us once we realize we are sovereign creators and realities in our own right. They need not affect us at all. The knowledge that we're always in control can do a lot to ease our fears. But most of us will likely have spent much of our lives and soul trajectories hooked into the fear grid and still have anxieties, inner dread, even phobias that can be triggered by the right circumstances. And due to the collective nature of the grid, we can also experience unease that isn't always our own. Though, I repeat, we can always extract ourselves once we realize we can. We tend to deeply fear things like disease, bodily harm, violence, death, lack, and rejection, which is really rather normal, considering we do live in a matrix system which tends to make us feel like these things are inescapable and totally arbitrary on the personal or collective level. I'm a strong believer that life does come with its challenges and teaching moments, which we've either agreed to experience on the soul level pre-incarnation or have manifested with our state of being. We will grapple with fear in life, but we can also entertain the knowledge that many of the things we fear are also energetic grids in themselves, which we can detach from. When paralyzed in fear, I think we're mostly paralyzed by the illusion that we're unable to create experiences beyond or better than that what we fear. Mistrust of the divine can also have a lot to do with it, which can be shifted too. We can fear our own shadow, the abandoned, rejected, repressed parts of ourselves, the parts we're either taught or assume are unsavory. And it seems like there's just so much to fear, I know. But I think generally in life, these are the exact things we are here to expand our consciousness around. And I can say for a fact that we're gathered here today to do so. So we're going to take a little meditative journey, led by my drum, and to face something we fear, to learn from it and essentially love on it until it's not so frightening anymore. To integrate our fear, to feel more sovereign and safe after facing it. The drum's beat promotes a theta state in our brains, that dreamy, meditative state, and it therefore acts as a handy vehicle to take your consciousness to a place where it can deal with all of this. And this is actually the first time I've recorded a journey with a drum, and we're going deep. And wouldn't you know it, we're going to a deep forest in the dark of night. But it's all good, I promise. So, first, just settle in, get comfortable, and we're going to begin to breathe together in a pattern that will reset our nervous systems, calm and center us. So inhale for a count of 4. Pause for a quick beat, and exhale for a count of 6. Extending your out breath, pausing for another quick beat. The pause helps your brain reset. And we're going to do this 3 more times. Inhaling for 4. Quick pause. Exhaling for 6. pause. And then doing this 2 more times, 2 more rounds at your own pace. Inhaling for 4. Then we're going to set the intention to call our angels, guides, guardians, and teams of light around us, and to ground ourselves quickly down through our root chakra, legs and feet, down through our earth star chakra below our feet, feeling our energetic roots go down into the center of the earth, and also sending our energy upwards, connecting into divine source, and opening our intuition and clairsenses. Now, letting the drum take you there, you let yourself begin to journey to a wide open meadow. You feel thick green grass underfoot. Notice the weather here. If it's clear and mild, perhaps more blustery, even a bit stormy. This will help you get a feel as to how much inner resistance you have to facing your fear, which is often just an ego thing. The ego does like to control through fear. Just notice, there's no judgment. You've chosen to show up here regardless, and you can ask for help clearing any resistance from the light beings with you. You see a massive tree in the distance with a huge, thick trunk, its branches reaching to the sky. As you approach and stop just before it, you realize it is the tree of life, humming with aliveness, color, and vibrancy, and inviting you into itself. And you step into the tree and begin to travel downwards. You see light and water traveling up and down to the roots and branches, and allow yourself to be carried down the main taproot. It starts to get noticeably darker as you descend down and down, until, with a soft splash, you land in a river flowing underground, and then let yourself be carried forward by it, as it washes you clean of any frequencies or vibrations that aren't useful to you here. Flowing along, the current eventually pushes you up against a soft, sandy riverbank. You see a nighttime sky full of dense clouds illuminated by a moon that they just quite can't manage to hide. And you stand up and begin to walk forwards towards another open, grassy field. In the half moonlight, you see someone standing in the center waiting for you, and a thick line of trees reaching up from the horizon behind them. This figure is a guide, come here specifically to help you on this journey. You absolutely do not have to go about it alone. Drawing closer, maybe you recognize them, maybe not. They could be in any form, really. Human, animal, a being of another kind. Look into their eyes and feel their excitement to see you, their warmth and confidence. Then, with a nod, a smile, or a glimmer in their eye, they turn and set off, leading you behind them towards a stand of trees. When you reach the edge of them, the forest looks wild, overgrown, nearly impenetrable. But, with a gentle stirring at first, the trees begin to part themselves, as nature herself encourages you along. They reveal the beginning of a trail to you, which you begin to walk down with your guide, the moon providing just enough illumination. Going deeper and deeper and deeper, noticing your thoughts along the way. Perhaps spotting some rustling in the underbrush or hearing the sounds of the nocturnal creatures going about their business. Continuing to follow the path under your feet until you reach a clearing. Here, you see, there is an object waiting for you. It could be any object, creature, plant, item, whatever, and it represents one of your biggest fears. It might not be your absolute worst fear, but one that is coming up for you now and is important to your life path at this time. Examine the object. Feel into its essence. You can even ask directly what it relates to. If you don't see anything, ask to clear any fear of seeing what you fear that's blocking you. And then grab your object, hold it in your hands, touch or embrace it somehow. Close your eyes, and with a pleasant jolt, find yourself traveling quickly through cool air. Your object acts sort of like a portkey from Harry Potter, if you've read the books, zipping you off to a time and place where this fear originated. Know you're entirely safe and unaffected by anything you see. Nothing is really re-happening or replaying. You are merely here to witness and gather information from a neutral vantage point. Where are you? This does not have to be somewhere you know. It could easily be in another lifetime or even planet or galaxy. What's happening? Who's there? Simply watch and feel as events or sensations unfold. Allow thoughts and emotions or discordant energies to surface. Standing in a grounded, loving, understanding energy, supported by your guide. This is what has been feeding this particular fear of yours. The images you see, or whatever you intuitively perceive, helps create understanding. And understanding naturally reduces fear. And if you find yourself willing, you can send love to yourself, the situation, anyone involved. If not, you can simply continue to bear witness with an openness to learn. Though, if you are sending love, you can also pick up a thin stick or twig from the ground now, and imagine igniting the end of it with a little ball of pink light that you send out from your heart center, your personal portal to source. Pink is the color of love, and you can cast this pink ray outwards with your new magic wand, directing it to wash over the scene taking place around you, even directing it towards your own body, at places where you feel stuck energies or emotions. Allow yourself and all to be lightened up and liberated by this pink loving light. And allow yourself to be given the divine perspective on what your soul was learning through this experience, as well as the divine perspective on safety. You are always safe. You create your own safety. And allow your consciousness to be carried out and engulfed in this feeling of oneness. And just sit in that a while. Eventually, your guide brings you around and leads you back, away from this scene where your fear originated, and back to the forest clearing in a flash. Your wand, if you had one, has been allowed to slip away, to settle back onto the forest floor, and the object representing your fear has totally dematerialized. In its place is something else, a gift to honor your courage. It holds vibrations that will help you move forward and acts as a conscious reminder that you are always held safely in divine light. You hang on to this gift, maybe even placing it into your root chakra at the base of your spine, your chakra of safety and survival, to heal and stabilize it. You send a wave of gratitude through the clearing, turning back now to face the trees, which had clustered back around you, but are beginning to sway and part again, allowing you and your guide to pass through once more, on your way back to the moonlight and shadow-dappled field. Walking back, you might notice you feel you've both shed something and gained something, and you allow your inner smile to spread warmly. Crossing the tree line, walking back to the center of the field, you pause to say thank you and goodbye to your guide. Perhaps they will choose to join you and come back with you, and you can even ask how long they'll stay especially close to you. Then you start moving back to the shore you first approached from, and lie down in the gentle waters of the river, letting it wash you back in the direction you came from, and to wash you clean of anything best left in this place. You soon find yourself flowed back below the tip of that big dangling taproot, and you stand, allowing yourself to travel up it. Back up to the trunk of the tree of life, water and minerals flowing around you, everything getting brighter and brighter, until you come to a stop and walk ahead out of the tree of life. Turn and send a quick thanks to the tree, and carry on back through the meadow you first entered, grass shifting under your feet. Let the drumbeat carry you back and back, 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 back into your body, into your sacred space. And move your hands and feet. Maybe rub your hands along your limbs, clap them down your limbs a bit to wake everything up. Feel grounded, sending your grounding roots down to the earth and back up into source quickly. And then open your eyes. Welcome back. How was that for you? Do let me know, and if you'd be keen to go on more journeys like this, I definitely have ideas for a few others for starters. And feel free to revisit this one to clear any fears you do deal with over time. I'm Emily, an art historian and energy worker, and I'll be back again soon, sooner than last time, with various methods for rejuvenating and regenerating on the cellular level. Take it easy and stay tuned.